Thanks so much, Mr. Dan Ruzanowski, and good evening, everyone watching us in Teal Town, USA, Sharks territory, or our good friends up into Winnipeg. Good evening, everyone. It is February 5th, 2019, and the Sharks, they may not have played too well, but they somehow pull out another overtime victory. The Sharks beat the Peg 3-2 in overtime, and this is Teal Town After Dark. We are your live and interactive Sharks postgame. So good evening to you all. Blah, 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 blah. Well, it's not the smoothest intro ever, but we'll get through it somehow. Nonetheless, if you want to be a part of the show, here's how you do it. Join us in the YouTube chat on the page or the app. You can also at us at Teal Town USA or hashtag Teal Town USA. Of course, follow us on the social media, you name it, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, and, of course, the YouTube. We thank over our 1,150 subscribers, and if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and ring that bell for whenever we come on with either After Dark, an episode of Pucknologist, or any of our interesting interviews we have on the channel. Joining me is the guy who also spells his name the right way. It is Mr. Eric Landy. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing all right, man. I almost had a coronary there after that frantic overtime. And, geez, in epic fashion, the Sharks, pull the rabbit out of their hat.
We should be getting used to this. This is the third straight game that they win in overtime. And, my goodness, what a craziness going in here. So let me check in the chat. And of course, happy Lunar New Year to everyone. Felix Chow mentioning that in the chat. Phantom 044. My heart sank on that call. Yeah, there was a lot of it. We're already getting some Wolfman 76. I think that's one I haven't seen. Crazy good game. It was a crazy good game, that's for sure. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting. Jets are tough. I will take it. Yeah, I will take a overtime victory over the Jets any day. Hands off to those guys. Those guys are locked and loaded. And Landy, before we jump in here, I wouldn't be surprised if we have one more meeting with them in March. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them again after that.
Yeah, I think one thing that Sharks fans can really take away from the game is that even without Erik Karlsson, the epic blue line, they were still able to put together a really good game. It was a game in which Vlasic seemed to have his legs back. And quite frankly, I think one of the best forwards on the team tonight was Joe Thornton. I mean, Joe was really moving his legs. It seems like that all-star break came about the right time. It was the right tonic, really setting up that play for the tying score. But Jumbo, my big takeaways are great without the epic blue line. Thornton looked great, and Vlasic, kind of rounding into form. You're on mute.
See, I like to let you have the floor for a moment there, and that's what happens. Yeah, Vlasic looks pretty good considering he was out for a month. Plus, he also had the break, so he looks pretty good there. Sharks without EK65 for this one. The Jets coming in with one of the best home records in the NHL, and of course, you wouldn't expect that from the Bell MTS Center crowd that they were expecting another one. And first off, we'll give congratulations to Paul Maurice, coaching his 1,500th game in the NHL. Ironically, his first one was against the San Jose Sharks when he was coaching the then Hartford Whalers.
Yeah.
And they destroyed Wade Flaherty, who ironically is his goalie coach, and the Sharks 7-3 that night. So let's get into it. At 3:08, Blake Wheeler, the all-star from Morrissey and Trouba, made it 1-0 Jets, 11th of the season for him, Landy, and it looked like the shot went through Burns' legs and picked the corner on Jones.
Braun. It was Braun.
Braun, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, so Braun, for me tonight, Braun's game was just okay. It seemed like he was a little bit better when he was paired back up with Vlasic, but um, boy, to me, that one was one that Jones has got to have. Did not like his positioning there. He was not set, and it just was a little lackadaisical. And something that Brett Hedican brought up on the broadcast tonight was, he seems like he needs to get his head into the game, and especially into the first few minutes of the period, because it seems like he's not set in his goal. It seems like he's making the wrong reads early in the game. The Sharks are, I believe, tied for second for most goals in the first 5 minutes of any period. And so I think their stat line was something like 48 goals in the first 5 minutes of a period. And that tells you that there's some kind of issue with the focus or some kind of issue with the preparation, and especially on the goaltending side. So, for me, that goal was like, I just looked at it and I was like, oh my goodness, it's going to be one of those kind of nights.
Yeah, it looked like Steve Cropper just said, seems like the whole team needs to get the head out of there. Yeah. And Felix mentioning at least the Sharks aren't the Oilers where Talbot gives up the first goal in the first minute almost every game.
Dave B. Pilot, also great. Braun's D-zone coverage was bad. His pinches were mostly good. He had a terrible gaff on the last shift of regulation leading to the breakaway. Exactly. I was exactly thinking that same thought, where he's sliding over to the bench, and it just seems like he's making the wrong read there. And that's a consistent, a consistent marker of his game this year, is making the wrong reads. So, I mean, I don't know what exactly you do to fix that, if that's a mental thing or what, but yeah, he was lucky he didn't get burned on that one.
Yeah, and it could have been bad. But that was that's a tough one to pick up once it goes through the legs. I mean, that was a sweet shot by Wheeler. I'll give him that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, Jones. It was more than Jones. Is my point, Sleepy? Yeah. It's it's a tough shot that you got to take, but it is what it is, and you got to just shake it off and move on. And that's the thing too. I remember from the first game that Jones played as a Shark, he led in the first goal early, and then was kind of shut down after that. And yeah, he would let in another one, but I kind of thought he had some nice shutdown moments tonight, especially later in the game. We'll get to that eventually. But moving onward, 10:41, Jacob Trouba takes I'm not going Taylor Swift at all, Felix. No. 10:41, Trouba would take a tripping call on Timo Meier. That would set up the Sharks' first power play. 13 seconds later, power play goal. Logan Couture, he gets his 20th of the season from Pavelski and LeBanc. Morrissey went down after taking a shot from blocked a shot, I should say, from Kevin LeBanc. Couture sets it up, grips it, and rips it home. Tie game. What did you think of Couture's 20th?
Yeah, I mean, Couture is really rounding into form. I like the fact that now the Sharks have another 20-goal scorer. It seems like up and down the lineup they're getting contributions, and it's good to see him pop one. He needed to, get on the score sheet, and he has. And in the last, in his last, I don't know, I want to say 10 games, he's looked like he's started to come around again. And really had an adjustment period when Hertl left his wing, I think. Trying to figure out who was going to be the person that he's going to kind of connect with. And you know what? Joe Pavelski, that Swiss Army knife, you put him wherever, and he excels. The guy that I also thought was really going up and down the ice and really helped out that line was Timo Meier. Really tenacious on the forecheck all during the game. Felt like he had some really good shots. He's just still kind of snake bitten though. but he's doing all the right things.
Right. And for Couture, that was his 20th of the season. He becomes the 4th Shark already. We're just going into February. He's the 4th Shark to hit the 20-goal mark. He joins Pavelski, Hurdle, and Evander Kane. And Timo, his next goal will get him to 20. So 5 20-goal scorers likely on the horizon, barring Timo just goes on a complete schneid. But he's looking pretty good there. So moving onward, I thought that kind of changed the momentum a little bit. I thought Winnipeg had a little bit of the momentum after their goal. Then the Sharks really continued the pressure on them. Myers took a holding penalty on Joe Thornton at 16-12. The Sharks wouldn't do anything on that. So after 20 minutes, Landy 14-5 in shots in favor of San Jose. Winnipeg had the face-off battle, won 56-44. But overall, the first period, I thought they played pretty solid for the Sharks.
Yeah, I thought that first period they really dominated the territorial edge. I also thought that they were getting a lot of pucks on the net and really some great A scoring chances. And Hellebuck really came up big in that first period.
You say he got hella huge stops?
Huge. Huge stops. No, but yeah, no, I think Hellebuck had a hell of a game tonight, especially with all that rubber coming towards him.
Definitely. Let's check in on the chat here. Good Sharks, bad Sharks, good Sharks. Game-winning goal from Dave Bebop. Yes. Steve Cropper, lose a pay. Yeah. The funny thing I would say from that, Dave, you guys are making fun of me saying going Taylor Swift. I'm going to go Katy Perry here. You say the Sharks were hot and cold. Okay.
Were they yes and then they were no?
Yes. All right. Second period on. Yes, it's the Grammy edition of Teal Town After Dark. No, we will move onward to the second period, where you talk about giving up the goal early in the period, Landy, and the Jets got that one. 52 seconds in, Perreault his 11th from Myers and Tanev. What did you think of this one? Because I wasn't sure if this was on Jones or if this was
to me, this was just a horrible play. I mean, they're trying to get it out from the defensive zone. It was a lot of gaffes. The goaltending. It went 5-hole, and I have a big problem with any 5-hole goal. To be quite honest, that shouldn't be something that's being let in, especially if you've got good fundamental techniques. But it was self-inflicted, and it was kind of compounding upon each other. So you start off with a horrible defensive breakout. They're trying to do a reverse. They get caught up in the behind the net. The Jets come in, able to sniff it out on the half boards. They get a shot on goal, rebound, shoots it in. Went 5-hole. And so for me, it all started with the defensive zone coverage and just the compounded issues on top of that. But yeah, Jones could have bailed the team out there, but he didn't. I don't put it all on his fault, but yeah, you should never have a 5-hole goal in my book.
Yeah, it wasn't great as well. So, and even Brett Hedican even said, Jones not ready, and you gotta find it. You gotta be ready. And I think I saw in the chat, maybe tell Jones 12 minutes in, 12-minute intermissions. So.
Yeah. Another Rob Iman tweet, maybe looking at a backup for Dell. Maybe, to replace replace Dell. I don't know. I think if anything, the Sharks would bring up one of the Barracuda goaltenders, especially with how well they're doing. I think they have internal options. But, both of these guys just signed contracts, and so Doug Wilson's a pretty loyal guy, and they normally keep players that they've got those contracts in and around. They keep them playing, for better or for worse. So unless we see an absolute utter collapse, I don't think we're going to see much change on the horizon.
I really can't. And Rob Iman in the chat saying, I think DW may be reluctant to start Korenash's clock, and that's the thing too. Is trying to start the clock on another goaltender. You have that luxury of sending a guy up and down, but unless I think you absolutely need him, I can't see him doing that, or for that matter, Bebo's clock.
Well, the thing with Bebo is he's got to clear waivers.
Right, and that's the thing. You don't want to chance that, because you look at what the Leafs had to go through before the season began.
Yeah, and I mean, I would be more apt to be on the side of let's fake a Dell injury, get him a conditioning stint, bring up Korenash as the backup. He's got, I think you can have 9 games before you burn the first year of your entry level. So, the clock isn't necessarily gonna run out on him, and especially when you only have 29 games left on the season. So, maybe you bring him in that last, the last 4 or 5 games if the Sharks are set in a playoff position, and see what you have.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough part is who.
Hey, there's always Cam Warding this bitch.
I don't know about that. I was hearing that I had some scratchiness on my end. Is it better now? I think.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, folks. We try to do our best to have the nice audio, especially for our podcast listeners. I got that fixed. Amanda, thank you for letting me know about that. So you have.
Are those Sennheiser Momentums, Eric?
I'm sorry?
Are those Sennheiser Momentum headphones?
You know what? Yes, they are.
Oh, wow. I love those headphones. I'm a big headphone geek, and, especially on travel. I'm actually on travel right now, and so that's why I've kind of got a little bit of a different setup, but I am rocking the Bose headphones. So.
And if Sennheiser or Bose want to sponsor the show, that would be greatly appreciated. So,
yeah.
moving onward. So after that, the Jets had a ton of momentum. The first half of this period. In fact, the Sharks would take a penalty. Kane would be going off, which was perfect for everybody in Winnipeg that were booing him. Definitely gave him the Bronx cheer there. But the Sharks only had 1 shot on goal the first 10 minutes of this period, and that's just like not acceptable. And then, of course, Mark Scheifele scores, his 27th of the season from Wheeler and Trouba. Oh, wait, no.
Dan Darrow with the assist of the night.
Let's put it this way. Dan Darrow might have gotten the Sharks at least 1 point tonight if it weren't for the game-winning goal, which we'll talk about a little later. But the video coach for the Sharks definitely gets an assist on this one. He mentions it to the coaching staff to challenge this call, and it was just the scotch of scotches offside as Wheeler was offside just a little bit as Trouba hit the blue line. So no goal. It remains 2-1 Jets. And Landy, you talk about 2 points that you remember that could help you in the long run. Give it up for their video coach tonight, because that one was a huge one.
Yeah, I mean, that would have changed the complexion of the game at that point. I think the Sharks were really limping in that second period. And it's something that I wanted to bring up, which, perfect segue. The Sharks have not been good in second periods this year. And it goes to the fact that their changes on the long change are not good enough. I don't know what Peter DeBoer needs to do in order to get it through these guys' heads that they need to take shorter shifts in the second period to get off. But they're getting caught in way too many 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s because of horrible changes. And you had one delay of game tonight and one too many men on the ice penalty because, again, it is not great changes. And when you can't change your players and can't get the fresh guys on, a team like Winnipeg or a team like Calgary or a team, like Nashville is going to pounce, and especially a Winnipeg or Calgary who can transition. And I think that was one of the major issues that we saw at the beginning of the year. Why they were giving up so many odd man rushes, because their changes were bad.
And that's not good.
Also, want to say, Josh Dees, thank you. Thank you for the tip, man. We appreciate it.
Josh, thank you very much, bud. Appreciate it. Definitely. You know what I also appreciate? Struck on board. Thank you, Matt Fontaine. It is now 3-1 Iowa in the second period. That game is going on at the Tink as we speak. The Iowa Wild are up 3-1 late in the second period. We'll keep you posted up on the wraparound in just a jiffy. But getting back to the Sharks here. So they get that challenge taken care of. It remains 2-1. Burns is, I found it funny. Burns is cleared on the power play that was sent all the way down the ice, hits Connor Hellebuyck, and that was the second shot of the period. That's not good. 15-15. Timo trips up Roslovic, but the Jets don't get on the scoreboard for that power play. So after 2, it was tied at 20. The faceoffs were about even. The Sharks had the only power play goal of the game so far. Onward to the third period, and unlike the first 2 where Winnipeg got on the board early, this time Marcus Sorensen finds the puck, bangs it in, ties this game up 2-2. You got to give credit to Sorensen for fighting hard and hard. Definitely getting his amount of scores this season in 11th is a pretty big one.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said before, Joe Thornton really set up that play, had his feet going all night tonight. I really like that line. LeBanc, who was, kind of missing in action for the last, I'd say 10, 15 games prior to the break. Now he had a 2-point game and really, making some really good plays.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say he's definitely had a nice little bounce back after getting up to the third line. In his last 6 games, he's got 2 goals, 5 assists. So the banker definitely depositing some points in there, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and now, he's up to 33 points on the season so far. That's not bad. Not bad at all, considering, his high is 40. So I think he's going to eclipse his high of 40 points and putting together a nice little season, another little under the radar season. I've been hearing some rumblings that he might be the one to go in a trade. I don't see Doug Wilson giving up on a 23-year-old who's already going to put up his career high in points. That seems kind of like a blue chipper to me, and especially because he's kind of got that wiry frame. He's kind of like a little Joe Pavelski. Might not have the shot and tipping skills, but definitely a lot more creative. So, that's a guy that you want to hang on to. and he's still kind of learning the ropes. He's still really young, and like I said, his trajectory, his career arc, 25, 26, you might be looking at a 60-point player, 60 to 70-point player. And we're seeing that with Hurdle right now. It took him a little bit to kind of get it, but he's getting it, and he a bona fide, I would say he's almost on track for being a number one center. It's close.
And that'll be the next step for him. I think you'll see eventually the Couture and Hurdle and LeBanker, but time will be seen. And he's setting up nicely to be that setup guy on the power play too. Eventually, it's gonna all come together, and it looks like he's starting to get the hang of it now, which is huge for the Sharks as they head towards the postseason. Then moving onward, Hurdle gets called for goaltender interference at 7:56. I was a little iffy on this one. It looked like Tanev kind of shoved him a little bit.
No, Tanev's stick was in between Hurdle's legs. What are you supposed to do there? And that tonight. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say tonight, I thought that the officiating was. I don't know. I always have. It always seems to me that the officiating in Canada is a little different than it is down in the States. I mean, I'm not putting the tinfoil hat. I'm not putting the tinfoil hat on, but it just seems like there might have been a little bit of home team bias here tonight, and that one was really not a great call, especially when you've got the stick in between the legs.
Judging that there were 5 penalty calls on the Sharks in the last 25 minutes of the game plus.
Well, two of those penalties are ones that you have to call.
Yeah,
but
Josh Dees, thank you. A $2 donation because the fishing was pure dog yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
So I mean, the other one that really ticked me off was the Meyer. The Meyer interference and embellishment. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Meyer's supposed to do there. And you know what? I think he's on the list. I think he's on the embellishment list.
He is for sure, because I know that's not his first embellishment call, and so he better be careful. I don't know if they still have the list or something. Marty T saying shouldn't either be an embellishment or interference. It's tough to say yes or no, because to me, I could see them calling that, because it definitely looked like Perreault was interfering. I didn't see the dress up at all. I've seen worse, which means this just in, Meyer will not be getting traded to Vancouver anytime soon. For sure. So.
He's not going to be winning the Ryan Kessler Award for diving.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Sorry, Davalos, but I just had to.
Wow. But once Hurdle had that breakaway, once he got out of the box, and it's one of those things that they just had a rough one. Then Trouba gets called for holding at 13:34. I thought that was the Sharks' golden opportunity there, but they couldn't cash in. And they had some nice looks though. And overall, even though the Sharks only had one power play goal tonight, I didn't think the power play looked too bad.
No, I thought the power play looked really good. I mean, that second power play that we got, there was a ton of movement. And I mean, Hurdle with that backhander to Pavelski, he just can't get a handle on the puck. If he gets a handle on it, that's a tap in. Just great. I love the creativity. I mean, this is a power play that's not standing still now. This is a power play that's got it figured out. And you know what? That's a really great weapon. And hopefully, I mean, maybe this is a sign of things to come. But you kill off 5, Winnipeg Jets who have like the number 2 power play. You kill off 5 of those. That penalty kill is going to get some confidence.
And and give credit to the penalty kill, and also give credit to Martin Jones. He stopped off all those shots that Liney had, even though some of them like went wide. I thought, wow, I thought kudos, because that was like Stamkos Ovechkin territory there for Liney, who I think has like 4 goals in his last 6 weeks. So that's crazy to see. So that's absolutely crazy. Swiss girl drives a truck says it's not like he flopped around like Vlade Divac used to. Oh, geez. But then 1825, Vlasic supposedly takes a puck over the glass call. They look at the replay and it deflects off Scheifele's stick, and you're like thinking, "Oh no, what is going on here?"
So I just want to kind of go over this one, because this is the Braun play where he's trying to change up and he's taking a beeline to the bench, and he's not making a great change there. It forces Vlasic to make a play to try and get the puck out of the zone, and it just goes over the bench glass. So I mean, not only does it clear the bench, but it clears over the bench's glass. And I mean, that's a heartbreaker, especially because, you know, you figured, man, that it was just a frantic pace to the end, and you're thinking, oh God, you know, just what the Sharks need is to put the number 2 power play back onto the ice with 1:30 left.
Yeah, and it's like, oh no, here we go. This is where Liney finally gets his Liney finally gets off the schneid. Yes, and Davalos with the stat 4 goals since December 1st. Liney has 10 total points since December 1st. So yeah, it's been
not making a great case for that new contract.
Right. Should be interesting for that one. But they carry it into overtime. The Sharks get at least a point there. They kill off the penalty. I thought Jones had a couple of stops there when they had a tough time clearing the puck out. And this is one of the things that I noticed too, was when clearing the puck out, I think it was like Vlasic and Kane. Kane actually went the wrong way. It led to a turnover and a golden scoring chance as well, which is something got to get worked on. We got to get those little intricacies down before April.
Yeah, I totally agree. The timing is just not completely right yet. I'm wondering also too if it might have been because of the break. They're still a little rusty. It is a thought, but you know, it was something that they were having issues with prior to the break as well.
Yep.
For me, the biggest brain fart. You have the puck in the offensive zone. You've got a miniature odd man situation down low. You get Pavelski. He's coming off the ice, and Evander Kane steps on before Pavelski clearly is off the ice.
See, here's my thing about that. Is that Couture and then tonight with Pavelski, they're gliding like the last 10, 12 feet to the ice. And in overtime, you got to be hungry to get fresh legs out there. And I kind of give that I kind of give that to more Pavelski on that one, because I thought he took a little too long getting off the ice, and Kane was already out there. And nonetheless, as our good friend of the show, Shalana Goldman says, hella dudes on the frozen pond. So at 120, the Sharks have to kill another penalty on the power play, and it's now you're really thinking, okay, now it's just a matter of time before the Jets get that one.
You're playing with fire. You're going to get burned here. And I was thinking the same exact thing, because now you've got a full 2-minute 4-on-3.
And then all of a sudden Burns breaks up a play up high. It leads to a 2-on-1. Burns with a nice pass to Pavelski. I kind of already had the feeling that thing's going in. the second that he was setting up for it, and bang, Pavs buries it home. Overtime shorthanded goal. I gotta ask Uncle Darren Stevens, when's the last time that's happened, if it's ever happened in Sharks history, a shorthanded game-winning overtime goal. Yes,
It's got to have happened.
Yes, and it is. And Uncle Darren Stevens, if you don't follow Shark Stats on Twitter, do so.
The official stats guru of the San Jose Sharks.
That's right. Per Elias Sports, tonight's goal by Pavelski was the second shorthanded OT goal in Sharks history. The other one, care to guess? If you haven't looked at Twitter already.
No, I'm thinking it is Patrick Marleau?
No, it was Alan McCauley, November 2nd, 2005 against the Nashville Predators. And that might be the that might be the one that might have been the last game that they won in November before they traded for Joe Thornton. So Alan McCauley in November of 2005. So
that's crazy.
That's
but I mean, you know, we had just talked about Pavelski kind of gliding off the ice, and what happens? He picks up the team and gets just an incredible goal. I mean, that's the kind of signature win that really gets you going. You know, that's like, okay, boys, you know, let's take on the next guys. We got this. And like I said before, I mean, you are facing a team that is, you know, second best in the West. And actually, you know, they have a couple games in hand, or had a game in hand on Calgary, so they could have been the best in the West. And you go and you do that. I mean, that's totally demoralizing, especially for a team that owns their own home ice. I mean, it's such a character building win. It's something nice to see from this team. And again, minus EK65. So I like the way that this team plays for each other. I like the way that they pick up for each other. I mean, look, the team, the defense and the forwards have basically bailed out Martin Jones this year. I mean, a horrible year so far for Martin Jones, but they've picked him up, you know, through the season. The team has come back after bad losses. You know, it's good to see, and it really shows that they do have some character and you know, just a signature win.
Davalos adding that Nashville game was second to last game before the long losing streak. So, all right. So I was off just by a little bit. Andy Man, how are you doing? Marty T saying, I feel like the gliding last game, but Gainer jumped the gun tonight. Yeah, but the thing is that Pavs had such a short distance to the box. Should have been containing there. Yeah, it's tough. But and like Phantom 0044 says, King should wait, but they always hustle back to the bench, and that's the tough part, you know. And it's just that timing. And sometimes you can get away with it, other times you can't, and that's the painful part of it all. So, final stats on this night as the Sharks beat the Jets 3-2. Shots on goal, Sharks 38-27. The face-off, the Sharks edged them 52-48. For San Jose, 1 for 3 on the power play. The Jets were 0 for 5, including giving up a shorthanded goal in overtime. Hits were about even, 26-22 in favor of Winnipeg. Blocks 17-14 in favor of San Jose. And the giveaways were about 13-10. Time on ice, well, my boy Dylan Gambrell, I was hoping he can get off the schneid with his first NHL goal tonight. Yeah, that didn't happen. You know what else didn't happen, Landy? He didn't hit 7 minutes tonight in total ice on time.
You know what, though? That being said, the fourth line had a good game. They did what they did what they needed to do as far as having a lot of zone time. Gambrell didn't look out of place. I think that was just a factor of really trying to, you know, hold, you know, I guess, what was that? Yeah, I guess it would be to be on parity with the Jets. And I think that Gambrell did pretty good, and especially for being called up in the way that he was. I wasn't unhappy with his game. That being said, I would have liked to have seen DeBoer, work him in a little bit more, but
Yeah,
you got to build that.
I completely agree. For the defenseman, Braun actually had more ice time than Brent Burns did. They each had over 27 minutes. Dylan had 20, Vlasic had 21. Um, Apparently, the Sharks took notice of Dylan's likes on Twitter the other night. He'd had nearly 12 minutes. Shimmick had 14:46. Martin Jones stopped 25 of 27 shots on the night. As Landy said earlier, Kevin LeBanc with 2 assists on the evening. Pavelski with the goal and assist. Couture and Sorensen with the goals for the Sharks there. For Connor Hellebuck, 35 of 38 shots he faced tonight. Winnipeg, kudos to them. They had a heck of a game, and like I tweeted out, man, we're gonna need oxygen tanks if this is gonna be a playoff series.
Yeah. I think that these two teams are on a collision course. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if this was the Western Conference Final.
Yep.
And it's going to be tough because the Sharks will probably have to go through Calgary, and you got Calgary, and then you got Winnipeg, and man, those are monster series.
Yeah. One thing Andy Man is mentioning in the chat, the line of Hurdle, Kane, and Donskoy each a -2 on the night. So not a great game for them per se, and didn't light up the scoreboard. But eventually it will come about as the Sharks pick up their 3rd straight overtime victory and head to Calgary for the rematch. A couple of notes as well. LeBanc getting a point. The Sharks are 13-7-3. Marcus Sorensen, 8 of his 11 goals this season are game changers. Either he's tied it or given the Sharks the lead, or he's been the game-winning goal scorer. So kudos to them on that one.
Yeah, Marcus Sorensen or playoff Sorensen. We were wondering who we were going to get this year, and you know what? Being placed with a good playmaker, he's really brought it, and I'm really happy for him. And it was good to get him extended.
Yep. So the Sharks went 3-2 over the Winnipeg Jets. And now,
all right, I think it's time for the for everybody's favorite. He throws a changeup.
Oh, a little change up there. We're just going to get a quick update on the San Jose Barracuda. They are at the tank tonight as they take on the Iowa Wild. It's their first time that Iowa has been in town since the first year of the Barracuda in 15-16. Louis Belpedio, dang it. He got the first goal for Iowa at 12:19. The first, Gerald Mayhew and Colton Beck scored a minute and 18 seconds apart for the Wild to make it 3-0. But as I mentioned, Matt Fontaine with his 4th of the season from Latunov gets the Barracuda on the board at 3-1. That's after 2 periods of play. That's on KDOW 1220 on your AM dial or the Sharks plus SAP Center app. You can listen to that after you finish hearing us. So following that, the Barracuda will go on a road trip that I believe takes them to Ontario next after this one. So, but we'll keep you updated if anything changes before we get out of here on this night. So, with that being said, if I can find it, here we go. And now,
I have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
It's wrap around. Seriously, it's wrap around, people. Come on.
All right, we got the
I'm always team wraparound because I'm Team Kura. Don't at me. Thanks, Felix. I appreciate that, man. Illuminato. Reach around. Anyone screenshot? I hate you. Oh, jeez. All right, let's get at it. There are 12 games on the National Hockey League schedule on this night. And let's begin. All right, with less than 2 minutes to go, the Blue Jackets are up 5-3 on the Avalanche. You have Borkstrand, Dubois, Atkinson, Anderson, and Wenberg for the Neon Buggers. Johnson, Zadorov, and Girard for the Avs. The Chicago Blackhawks have scored 5 goals in the third period to have a 6-2 lead on the Edmonton Oilers. In fact, I think I saw one tweet. The Hawks have 5 goals in the third period. The Oilers have 2 shots. Gustafson, Hayden, Strome, Kane, Kajula, going back to hunt his former team, and Cahoon, all have goals for the Hawks. Draisaitl with 2 goals, the only ones for the Oilers. Oh boy. In Beantown, Patrice Bergeron scored twice in his 1,000th game to give the Bruins a 3-1 victory over the New York Islanders. Jordan Eberle, the former Oiler, gee, I wonder if they could use him up there, was the lone goal scorer for the Islanders. In Buffalo, and of course, we're doing a broadcast, which means Pominville did not score tonight. Damn it. But Buffalo beats the Wild 5-4 in a shootout. For the Wild, that gets them to 57 points. That keeps them in the wild card spot. Buffalo trying to get back into it with their victory. The Blues score 3 in the third period to steal the game away from the Florida Panthers 3-2. Perieko, O'Reilly, and Dunn, the 3 goal scorers in the third. Barkov and Borgstrom with the goals as former Shark James Reimer takes the loss in South Florida. A lot of crazy third periods here tonight. The Kings scored 4 in the third period to beat the Devils 5-1 in New Jersey. Kempe Toffoli scores twice. Dion Phaneuf off the schneid with his first of the season. Ilya Kovalchuk, wow, is it the early 2000s or something? Phaneuf and Kovalchuk get the last 2 for the Kings. Zaka with the lone goal score for the Devils. In Carolina, it was Curtis McElhinney that bitch night as the Hurricanes. I'm sorry, not in Carolina. In Pittsburgh, the Hurricanes beat the Penguins 4-0 in a shutout. Martinuk, Pesci, Furland, and Shevchenkov with the goals there. In Washington, the Capitals 3, the team from British Columbia 2.
Thank you.
Are you kidding me? Like, I'm going to say, of course, I'm going to say it. The Vancouver Canucks lost 3-2. Elias Pettersson scores is 24th of the season. It was more of a garbage goal there. Oshie with his 16th. Holtby with the win there. He looked a little shaky as Pettersson scored that late one. You know who else looks shaky? The Anaheim Ducks. No, they let John Gibson have the night off this time, but unfortunately the same result. Canadians scored 3 in the first, and the Ducks were done by then. 4-1 the final. Getzlaf did get his 11th of the season. Kokaniemi gets his 9th. Gallagher gets his 20th and 21st. Deneau all scored for Montreal as Carey Price gets the victory. In the shootout.
You know what I love? I'm just looking at the standings right now, just talking about the Ducks. I love how the Ducks and the Kings are like just neck and neck for being the worst team in the NHL.
And yet they're still in it.
The big eyesore, though, do you know what their differential is, their goal differential?
No.
-47.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, -47. I mean, oh, God love you, Bob Murray. Thank you for making them so mediocre.
And that's where you start to wonder, is it Murray that gets the axe next, or is it Carlisle? Just saying. If you get a chance, can you screen share the standings while I finish these scores? We'll get that up.
For sure. Yeah.
And because he's doing that, I'll mention the Golden Knights won in a shootout 3-2. Braden Point his 31st, Joseph his 13th, Cody Eakin gets his 14th, Zykov gets his first goal of the year. Scary moment as well. Paquette took a run at former Shark Ryan Carpenter. Golden Knights, and I think Kevin Lacey tweeted this out on his Twitter. Just unacceptable where they were trying to get Ryan Carpenter off the ice. He was trying to do it on his own power, but my goodness, he could not stay on his feet at all. And I hope he's okay. His head looked like it hit the dashboard pretty hard there. But the Knights get the victory over the Lightning 3-2. The last game on the schedule, 5-2 Predators over Coyotes. Roman Yossi, Yarncroc, Ellis, Forsberg, and Smith for the Predators. Hinostroza and Stefan with the goals for the Desert Dogs. Oh, crap. Wait, hang on. It's water. All right. There we go. So let's check on the scores that were going. Yes, Avalanche lose 6-3. Dubois gets an empty netter there. Hawks now make it final 6-2 over the Oilers. So the night is done in the NHL. And Landy, let's take a look at those standings right now. Winnipeg with the point gets 71. They keep first place right now. Predators are at 68. The Stars are at 60. In the Pacific right now, the move that out of the way. Thank you. Calgary with the night off. They are at 73 points. They'll play the Sharks on Thursday. San Jose at 69. It's hilarious. With the win tonight, the Flames have a game in hand on them. Vegas at 64. Minnesota with 57 holds down the first wild card spot. Vancouver sitting at 54 points and holding down the playoff spot. However, St. Louis at 53, Colorado at 52, Edmonton at 51, Desert Dogs at 51, Anaheim at 51, the Hawks at 49, and the LA Kings at 48. That's right, folks. The rest of the conference is within 6 points of the second wild card in the West. Landy, oh my goodness, this is going to be a crazy stretch down for like the bottom of the conference.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're looking at playing hot potato with the wild card position. Who wants it more, you know? But honestly, to me, I'm looking and I'm circling the St. Louis Blues as the ones that are going to have the inside track on this. They just have the games in hand. You know, they're really playing well. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. You know, all the other teams besides the Blackhawks and the Kings have losing records in their last 10. Mm-hmm. You know, Edmonton is really starting to show the cracks. I don't see them, you know, making a great run for it. You know, Vancouver has been really plucky and they've been hanging around. But again, I think what we're gonna see is there's not enough runway for them, and that's kind of what we've been seeing all year. Is that they've got the points, but it came at a bunch of games, right? And then you know, everybody who had their games in hand, you know, won them. So, you know, nothing Vancouver. I mean, really, there's nothing really they can do about that besides winning a few more games. But they're way ahead of schedule, and that's going to be a team to be reckoned with here in the next, you know, the next year or two in the Pacific. So, you know, it's not their time yet, but I think St. Louis has got the inside track.
Yeah, St. Louis is looking like it's going to be promising. Although Jake Allen has been a thorn for them this year, and my goodness, you know, I have a few Blues fans on my Twitter timeline, and my goodness, they are really salty sometimes with freaking Jake Allen. So
I wonder if maybe Bobrovsky looks at St. Louis as a destination.
It's a thought, and that's what I wonder. And how if you're a team in the West, how do you figure out what you're going to do at the deadline? I mean, you like you said, the Kings are just 6 points out. The Hawks are within 5, and you know they could use momentum going into the into the the final stretch here.
The trade deadline. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
To
you.
the trade deadline.
You
Yeah.
know,
I totally agree. I think, though, you're going to start to see GMs say, okay, do we really have a shot, or is this kind of a mirage? You know, I look at the Ducks. I see them being sellers. Same with the Kings. The Coyotes, I think they'll stand pat because they've got a good system. They've got players that are coming up and are developing the right way. Colorado, again, is going to stand pat. You know, you're basically going to be looking at the Rangers, the Panthers, the Wings, the Devils, and the Senators as your big, you know, bottom feeder, you know, sell-offs, putting the Kings on there too, and I think the Ducks as well.
Yeah, and you look at the Flyers who've won what 7, 8 in a row. You know, they were down and out. Now they're just, and I say just, they're 7 points back, but they've won 8 in a row, and you know they get the Kings next. It could be 9 in a row. Carter Hart's been phenomenal for them coming in. You know, there was worry about.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but might it be too little, too late for the Flyers?
No, you know what? I think that the Flyers are going to really surprise. I had them pegged as one of the wild card teams. I think I had them in third place in the Metro, but I like what Philadelphia is doing right now. And you know what? If they had a stabilizing force in net, you know, they haven't had one since Ron Hextall. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's really good to see Hart, you know, come up and play really well. They have to get 5 points in order to tie with Columbus, and they, you know, Columbus has got 2 games in hand. With Columbus winning tonight, actually, so it might be a little bit too much. It might be asking the impossible, but they've been a good success story, and you know, maybe you can probably win Simmons out of there.
And look at the Islanders, the 66 points on the year. I don't think anybody gave the Islanders a shot to win or to get even into a playoff spot, let alone in the playoffs. And you know, right now, I can't do it as good as Rockets. So if the playoffs started tomorrow, you would have the Islanders against the Blue Jackets. I'm sorry, the Islanders and Bruins, which would be a good one. Washington and Pittsburgh in the first round. Oh boy. Tampa and Columbus in round 1, and then Toronto, Montreal. Oh boy, that would be interesting if that's in the East. In the West, right now, you would have Calgary against Vancouver, which is a classic Western Canadian playoff series. That will be crazy. Minnesota and Winnipeg, it'll be a quick trip again for round 1 for the Jets and Wild. Nashville and Dallas, the 2 teams that are going to play in the Winter Classic. Be a great matchup there, plus a quick trip for both of them, I would think. And then San Jose, Vegas in round 1 would be interesting as well. So those would be your mashups going down. So
I think it's time to wrap this guy up.
Yep, it is.
Put the bow on it.
So in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on Teal Town USA. That's right. We do this after every single Sharks game, and we also have this available whether it's on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. Of course, smash that subscribe button, ring that bell to make sure you get notified when we go on. Of course, we'll be back with you Thursday night following Sharks and Flames. So, oh boy, how do you think the Sharks are going to be up for that one? It should be interesting. EK65, will you be returning that night? That
I hope so.
Will be then very interesting question. So, Landy, great to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing all right. Your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Final thoughts is I think we're going to see some fisticuffs and some shenanigans and tomfoolery and with any other of those old timey words. You know, I think it's going to be a really good game, and hopefully the Sharks, you know, really bring it because they got spanked in Calgary the last time they were up. So, you know, it'd be good to see get some redemption. As far as where you can find me, you can use my first name, Eric, E-R-I-K, spelled the right way, and Landy, L-A-N-D-I. on all the social media garbage.
All right. Thank you very much, lady. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at PuckGuy14, also on the Instagram. We also have a Teal Town USA Instagram. If you haven't done it, if you haven't checked that out yet, please follow us. AJ puts together those great pregame reports, including a little snide at Winnipeg's internet connection, which I think is actually worse than mine lately. So, we'll see. But again, we will be back with you on Thursday night following Sharks and Flames. So be on the lookout for that. And until then, also check out our content on tealtownusa.com. Felix has got some great hockey takes and growing the game series. AJ put up one about the lovely Fanatics merchandise. So be looking out for that. So thank you for watching.
I just got a Fanatics thing, and it was a size small, and it was not great. I ordered a 2XL. It fit me like a large.
So it's a workout shirt, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. So check out Landy at the gym in his spandex shirt. All right, we'll get out of here. So until then, on a quick update, still 3-1 Iowa about 13 minutes ago in the third at the Shark Tank. That's your update for the Barracuda. And until Thursday night, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.